Hi everyone, very good evening to all. So thank you so much for taking your time and effort and being a part of the session. We hope we are able to add some values to you in some or the other way by the end of day one. So now we are here with day 2 of Evil Week. So before we start, I would like to talk about EvilHoursX, EvilHoursX community and Evil Week as well. So before we start, I would like to talk about our EvilHoursX community. So that's EvilHoursX is a community wing of Battle Corp Cybersecurity Labs. So now we are as a community, our primary intention is to. I would like to talk. Sorry, someone is interrupting EvilHoursX community and mute it. So before we start, I would like to talk. Okay, thank you. So, EvilHoursX is a community wing of Battlecorp Cybersecurity Labs. As a community, our primary intention is to bring together a group of people who is passionate about the world of cybersecurity. So, talking about EvilWeek, it is a beginner intermediate level series on cybersecurity, which is almost over 7 days. The event is planned such that anyone who is pursuing the field of cybersecurity, like you guys, will get a good idea about what's in store. So sessions are scheduled starting from the basics up to an intermediate level, so that by the end of the week, you will be having a strong grasp of skills and concepts required. So also a special mention and heartfelt gratitude to Calicut Forum for IT and Kerala Police Cyberdome for partnering with us for this event. So now before we start off with the session, I would like to set some ground rules, and so that we will be able to know what we expect out of the session. So firstly, I request you not to spam the live chat session with your chit chats, because as the platform is accessible to everyone, make sure that you make best out of these sessions by asking questions relevant to the session. So we will not be able to answer every question that you ask, because if it is out of the scope, we cannot discuss such questions. But we try our level best to include a maximum number of questions as possible. We have Q&A moderators who will be answering you to the questions in the chat box, and also they keep some track of frequently asked questions, and we will be discussing it towards the end of the session so that we can help you out clear your doubts. So, as you all know, in today's session, we focus on Linux file system, permission management, package management, basic Linux command, and much more. So, let me take a moment to introduce our speakers today. So, we have Vishnu Mohan with us today. He is a software programmer, certified penetration tester, and also he is one of our core team member. And we also have Favas with us. He is a cybersecurity enthusiast and certified penetration tester, motivational speaker, and a member of EvilHoursX community. And just to introduce myself, I am Majesty Raj, and I am a part of EvilHoursX core team. So happy to interact with you guys today. So I don't want you guys to wait for the session. So let's get started. Over to you, Vishnu.
Hey guys, Majesty, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, hey guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's session by Majesty and Dhanwad. And I really hope it gave you guys a basic understanding of various terms used in the technical world. So, today we'll be continuing from where Dhanwad left off yesterday, right? He showed you guys how to install a Linux system. So today we'll be delving deep into it and learning what a Linux file system is. Okay. And after that, we'll also look into certain permissions. I'll actually show you what you guys will be learning today. So you'll be learning and understanding the Linux file system, what it is, why is it useful, and what is its role in Linux. Okay. And then you will be learning basic file and folder operations. Okay. After that, you will be learning permission management. Now, this is actually a little bit core topic. So I want you guys to pay very much attention to this. Okay, you guys actually do not have to be necessarily knowledgeable in this field, as I'll be taking everything from scratch. Okay, so after that, we'll be learning to use and manage Linux packages. Okay, and after that, we'll be looking at some of the most used Linux commands. So file system and file folder operations will be taken by Favas. After that, I'll be taking permission management and Linux package management. Okay, and after that, the basic Linux commands will be taken by Favas. So over to you, Favas.
Thank you, Vishnu. As you all know, today we are taking the session about the Linux file system and folder operations. As a beginner, we want to know what is a file system. By taking a look at to the Linux file system, the file system is a mechanism for organizing data in a disk. Whether it is Windows or Linux or anything else, a file system is a mechanism for organizing data in a disk. So it helps the system to know where a file starts and ends, all that stuff, and it will organize everything and everyone in the file system. So the file system is the basics and it's control how data is stored and retrieved. If you want to retrieve a data or you want to store a data, the file system will help on this. So this is the basic concept about the file system. Let's get into the next. The next comes after the file system is we want to look at Linux file system, because as you all watched that in our previous session, they told Linux system is used for the penetration testing and all that stuff, and it's more familiar with us also. So the Linux file system stores file in a single hierarchical file system structure, because it stores like an hierarchical structure. And the next one is it places all partitions under a root directory. We have a root directory, and other all stuffs, other all directories, other all partitions are stored and placed under this root directory. So the next thing comes is everything including drives is denoted by a file or a folder. So this is the basic important thing, guys. You have to pay attention in this point, because everything will be denoted as a file or folder, whether it is a drive, it's a CD-ROM, or it's a pen drive, whatever it is. Every drive is denoted by a folder, and it will be taken in our session by our Vishnu. And this is all about Linux file system. As you all heard about Linux file system, there are hundreds and more file system for the Linux system, and the most relevant and most popular file system is the extended file system. In short, we can say it's EXT. So what's about the extended file system? So it's a generation, ext is a generation of file system which is used as a Linux file system. So this ext is the first generation, an old one, no longer used due to limitation, because it has a lot of limitation by using as a current user, because it has so many issues and all that things. It's just an history. It's passed over. Okay, the next generation is ext2. It's the first Linux system that allows 2 TB of data. As a user, we have to store so many data and we want to manage it. So for that, we need a vast and elaborated file system. So the ext is the first Linux file system that allows 2 TB of data. After the ext2, the next generation is ext3. It actually came from the ext, and it has also the backward compatibility to the ext2. So ext3 is the next version or the next generation of ext2. At last, the most used today's relevant ext is the ext4. Guys, this is the most important, because the ext4 is used by nowadays, because it's faster and allows large files with significant speed. It will help us to manage everything and manage all the stuff in the file system. And the next one is the write option for ssd disk. As we all know, we store data in ssd disk. Okay, so this ext4 file system is better for the write option, and it's a write option for ssd disk. And the ext4 is a file system that Linux suggests while installing. You all watched the installation and the virtualization in our previous session taken by Danvant, and he explained virtualization and all installation methods. So the Linux file system normally suggests this ext for file system while installing. Okay, this is a core thing about the ext or external file system. The next thing come is the Linux file system hierarchy. As I told you, the Linux file system is in a single hierarchical structure, and you want to know something about the what is the Linux file system hierarchy. So the Linux file system hierarchy is means the Linux file system hierarchy means Linux normally places all partitions under a root directory. As I mentioned, under a root directory, we have the normal partitions and the directories and the files and folders. It's like an hierarchical structure. And the next thing is Linux follows a hierarchical tree structure. If we consider a tree, means a tree, inverted tree, you can see that the tree is inverted and the other branches is going like that. So the Linux file system is compared to the inverted tree structure. So it's means the hierarchical file structure. So you can see now in the screen, here is a root directory. As I told, the root directory is placed at the top, and the other old partitions and old directories come under this root directory. For example, we have etc and the home and the user as a partition under a root directory. And the next thing is we have shadow password and all that. So basically, I told the thing is Linux file system is a single hierarchical structure. So it's all about Linux file system hierarchy. And more thing will be explained by Vishnu. I'm handovering this session to Vishnu for explain the most detailed and relevant content to the audience. Okay, can Vishnu, you can take over it.
Yeah, thank you, Favas. So, guys, I think you got a basic idea about what Linux file system is, right? So, as Favas mentioned, so in the last slide, you actually saw how the file system organizes the files and folders in Linux, right? So, I'll actually show you. I'll actually open my Explorer. Okay. So look at that. This I'm currently in my root. Okay. So all these folders, these all are under the root directory. These all folders together form the Linux file system. Okay. So I'll actually take you through each of these directories. Okay. So the first one is the root directory itself. So what is the root directory? Just as the name suggests, it is the base of the file system. So there's nothing before it, right? Everything comes from within the root directory. Then there's the binary. Okay, this is the short for binary. Okay, bin. So this folder actually stores your executable programs. All right, so any program that you install or that comes inbuilt with Linux, okay, you can actually find them in the binary folder. Any executable programs are found inside the binary folder. Then there's the boot. I hope you guys might have heard of the bootloader. So in case you haven't, bootloader is a tiny piece of software that actually runs before mounting up your operating system. So every time you switch on your PC, a bootloader is the first thing that runs. Okay, and it actually performs some disk partition check and all those things. So this bootloader is specific to an operating system. So as far as Linux is concerned, its bootloader is present inside this boot directory. Okay, this directory also houses the Linux kernels. Then there's dev. This actually holds the special device files that are created during the installation of Linux. So one of the notable file inside this directory is the null. So once you get more familiar with Linux, you will actually encounter this dev/null. So dev/null is actually like a black hole. Okay, so anything you put inside the null folder actually vanishes into thin air. So there's consider it just like a trash can. Okay, so that is what dev is for. Then there's etc. This holds the required system configuration files. Any configuration you make to your Linux system, whether it be in the root or you manually make some changes from the settings, everything is configured and stored inside the etc directory. Then there's the home. This is the most important directory, and this is the directory that you actually always see. So anytime you open your file explorer, you will be taken to the home of the current user. So I'll show you my system actually has two users. All right, VMK, that is me, and John. So you can see that there's a home icon on my folder, right? That means that the current logged in user is VMK. So that is what it is showing. So every time I open up my file explorer, I will be taken into this directory. Okay, so this is my home directory. Okay, in case if it is John, it will be taken to John's directory. So home is one of the most common directories which you will be seeing most of the time using Linux. Then there's the library directory. This directory or folder holds the library files for the programs. Just like I said, executable programs are put inside the binary folder, right? So all those library files required to run these executable programs are put inside the library folder. Then there's media. So the media folder, just like Favas mentioned in the previous slides, everything in Linux is either a file or a folder, right? So that means that every time you plug in your USB, or let's say you plug in your CD-ROM, it will be considered as a folder and it will be mounted inside the media directory. I'll actually show you. So I have a terminal here. So I'm going to go to media. All right. So look at that. So I have a CD-ROM and that is what it is showing here. Okay. And this is the soft copy or a soft link of the CD-ROM. Now you notice there's a folder with my name here, right? So anything, any drive that I mount during this session, okay, will be put inside this VMK folder. So I'll actually show you. So my system is actually triple booted, okay. So I'm going to boot into Kali now. Okay, I'm actually going to mount Kali inside. I'm currently using Parrot OS. So I'm going to mount Kali inside my Parrot. Okay, so I'm going to click on it and I'm going to enter my password. All right. Now, as you can see, I have mounted Kali inside, right? All right. So how does Linux make this possible? So under the hood, what is actually happening is, if I go back to media and look in here, see this, there's this unique ID generator, right? This is actually my session unique ID. So what is inside this? If I'll go in, you can see that it is nothing but Kali. So that is why there's this folder. So anything you mount in your current session, okay, any drive, anything, it will be stored as a folder inside your current user inside the media folder. Okay. Then there's the root directory. Now you should not confuse this directory with the root of the file system that I mentioned in the first point, right? Both are completely different. Okay, this root actually means the root user. So those who are familiar with Windows, you will know what an administrator is, right? So an administrator is a person with full privilege to the system. So similarly, in Linux, we call an administrator the root user. So the similar to an administrator, the root user has full access to the system. He can do whatever he likes. Okay, and that means that he also has a special place in the Linux file system. So his home is not inside the home directory, but it is inside the root directory. Then there's sbin. Sbin is basically system administration command. So anything, any arbitrary commands that the system requests to run in this session, it is stored inside the sbin folder. Then there's SRV. SRV is the short for services. Okay, services like web and FTP. I'll actually show you this folder. I will go to, don't worry about the command I'm typing, it will be taken later by Favas. Okay, so I'm going to SRV. Look at that. This folder actually is for my FTP. Okay, so when I start up my FTP server, it will show inside this folder. So similarly, any services that you run from your computer during your session will be stored inside the SRV directory. Then there's the temporary directory. Temporary directory is something similar to a trash can, but with an expiry date. Okay. So anything you put inside the temp directory, it is usually the cache of the any programs. Okay. So there is an expiry date, and it is usually meant for one session only. But if you want, you can actually keep it for more than one session. But whatever it is actually for a temporary purposes, and nothing actually happens if you delete the temporary directory. All right, I'll actually take you to the temp directory right now. Look at that. So there are several services running, okay, like SSH. This is Pulse Audio, okay. I have an audio player. It is its service. Then you can see VMware. Then one might have explained VMware yesterday, right? So such services are actually creating some cache files to run, okay. So these files are stored inside the TMP directory or temporary directory. Then there's the USR. The USR should not be actually confused with the user. Okay, you do not read this as user, but it is actually an abbreviation for user system resources. Okay, so USR stands for user system resources. This folder is quite an important folder because this folder contains several services and several programs that are used by all the users of this system. So if I'll take you there, you will be able to understand. Okay, so what are main things like okay, I'll actually take one more level. So you see this share folder. This folder contains all those shared resources. So there are a lot of things in here. Okay, I'll actually show you. Do you know that the fonts, Linux fonts are stored inside here? See, look at this. So anything that is put inside this share folder will be shared across all the users using this system. So that is what the USR or the user system resources folder stands for. Then there's where. Where is nothing but a warehouse of logs. Okay, so any logs that you want to find, if you're actually developing software and all, you will actually be going a lot of the time into the where directory, because your application's logging actually happens inside the where directory. Okay, so look at that. This is what I've been explaining, right? So everything you can see is in a hierarchical or an inverted tree structure, right? And there's one level. This is the parent level. Then there's the children level. See, uh, especially for the home and the USR. So this is how it looks. If you guys want to take screenshots, you can take. Anyways, this presentation will be sent to you using PDF in our Telegram group. So it's fine. Okay. Now let's move on to permissions. Okay, so permissions are actually quite important in Linux, not only in Linux, even in Windows, because permissions decide whether a file or a folder should be accessed by a particular user or not. So as far as Windows is concerned, Windows actually has a lot of permissions. Okay, but Linux keeps it rather simple. Okay, and I'll show you. So look at this. Now there's some mumbo jumbo written here, right? There's RWX, RWX, RWX. So there's three set of RWX here. So what does this mean? Okay. So like I said, in Linux, permissions are rather simple and kept to only three. So the R actually stands for read. Okay. The W actually stands for write, and X stands for execute. So now you might have got an idea, right? So what this RWX stands for. So now you might be wondering why there is three sets of RWX, right? So permissions can be only set for the current user. Then why should you actually set permissions three times? So there's a reason for that. Look at that. So as far as Linux is concerned, there are three kinds of entities who can access a Linux system. The first one is the owner or the user. Okay, this person is the creator of this file or folder. So this is the person who actually owns the current session and creates the file or folder. So it makes sense that we put his permissions to the left hand side, right, initially. So the left hand set, this one, actually is for the owner or the present user. Okay, then the middle set is for the group. Now, what is a group? A group is basically a collection, right? So similarly, in Linux, a group is a collection of users. So like I showed you in my this home directory, I have two users, right? There's John and there's me. So that means that Linux can actually support a lot of users. So it makes sense that you do not actually have to, it is actually tedious work to set permission for each and every one of them, right? So that is where the group comes in. So let's say I have John, Jane, and me in a group. Okay. Now I do not want to give individual permission to John, Jane, and myself. But what if I give this permission to the group that holds us all? What actually happens is when you give permission to a group, it automatically is inherited by all the members inside the group. So that means I do not actually have to set permissions for each and every one of them, but instead I can just go around giving permission to the group, and it will be inherited by all the members inside the group, all the users inside the group, sorry. So that is where the middle set comes in for the group. The last set is for others. Now, who are others? Others are, simply put, others are people who are not the owner and who do not belong to the group. So they are like the external entities. Like you have guest users in Windows, right? Similarly, any external entity who is not the owner of the file or folder in question, and who is neither the owner of the, who is neither present in the group, such persons are called others, and this rightmost set of permissions are for them. Okay. Now, what if you do not want to give permission to someone? Or how does Linux actually tell you that this person does not have so and so permission? So suppose if the current user does not have execute permission, how will Linux tell you? Linux will actually put a dash in there. So if I do not have, if I am the owner of this file and I do not have execute permission, there will be a dash here. Okay. Now, Linux is for power users, right? Linux actually simplifies a lot of things when it comes to commands. So similarly, instead of typing all this tedious long thing, right? Instead of typing this long thing, Linux actually helps shorten this thing into just numerical formats. So permissions can also be expressed numerically. All right. So how, let's see. You just have to be a little bit, you just have to know how to add one and one. Okay. It's that simple really. So this is by far my favorite way of adding permissions. So read is equal to 4, write is equal to 2, and execute is equal to 1. So no permission is equal to 0, obviously, right? So what about full permission? Full permission means that the guy has read, write, and execute permissions, right? So that means he has 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. So his permission will be 7. 7, if you see 7 somewhere in permissions, it means that the person has full permission. Okay. So he can read, write, and execute that file or folder. Now let's look at some examples. Okay. Look at this. So the owner actually has full permissions, right? He has read, write, and execute permissions. But what about the group and others? It's just dash. So what does a dash mean? A dash means no permission, right? So that means the file or folder in question can only be read, write, and executed by the owner of the file or folder. Okay. What about this? Look at that. The owner has read and write permission, but he does not have execute permission. How do we know that? Because of this dash, right? What about the group? Group has only read permission, but no write or execute permission. And that's the same case for others as well. Now, this is a permission that you usually see given to files. This is a permission that usually Linux gives to files. Okay. Now look at this, similar to this one, but in what happened here is this person does not have execute permission. So the owner can read and write, but owner cannot execute, and the others and groups do not have any permission at all. So I hope you guys are understanding this. Okay, I'm trying to make this as simple as it sounds. Now look at that. Simple, right? Everybody has read permission. Now this means that everybody has every permission. So full permission for everyone. You usually do not see such a permission anywhere in Linux unless you explicitly gave it. Okay, but just for educational purposes, I'm showing you this. Now let's look at the same examples, but expressed numerically. You'll see how simple it can be. Look at that. The last example that we saw, RWX, RWX, RWX. So full permission. So instead of writing it this way, I can simply write 777, right? So user, group, and others. Now here, the user has full permission, right? So 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. And the others and groups do not have any permission. So you denote it by typing, writing a 0. So 700 means that only the user or the owner has full permission, while the group and others do not have any permission at all. Now, what about this? 4 plus 2, 6, right? Why not 7? Because this person does not have execute, and the execute value is 1. So we minus 1. So there's 6 and 4 and 4, 644. This is the usual permission, like I said in the last slide. Now here there's read and write. So 6 and no other permission. So you denote it as 0. So 600. Now there's 444, right? Now let's see how you set permissions. All right. Linux has a command called chmod. This command allows you to set permissions to a file or a folder. You can add permissions with the plus operator along with the chmod. Okay, and similarly, you would have guessed that you could remove permissions with minus. And users, groups, and others, they are denoted with the first letter each. So users become U, groups become G, and others become O. Okay. So what if you want to give permission to everybody? You can either put UGO together, or you can just put in an A. See, shortcut for everything, right? So you can also use numbers. So when you use numbers, you do not actually have to look at all these 4 points. When you use numbers, it is actually pretty simple. So let's actually try it out. If you guys have booted up into Linux, you can actually fire up terminal and do it along with me. Or you can actually take note and try it out later. If you have any doubts, you can either ask in the Q&A session, or you can actually ask in the Telegram group as well. So let's actually try it out. Okay. So I'm actually going to go to my desktop. So this symbol, you see, I typed this symbol, right? This symbol actually means home. So this is actually a shortcut set by Linux. So if I type in this symbol, this is called the tilde symbol, and this symbol is located right above your tab key. So this symbol tells Linux that I want to go to home. Home means home / my current user. So this actually takes me to home / vmk / desktop. So another shortcut for you to keep in mind. So I actually created a folder here. All right. So as you can see, this folder is currently empty, right? I'm actually going to create a file here, okay, called myfile.txt, right? So Linux has another command called touch. Of course, you can actually use the GUI here, and you can actually right click and create new file. But obviously, we are all hackers here, right? So we should use terminals. So I'll actually type in the touch command. See, touch creates a file. After touch, you can type in the whatever file name you want. I'm typing here my file dot the extension. I'm actually going to give it a text file. Okay, look at that. A file is created, right? Pretty simple. So now let's see what Linux gave it as the default permission, right? So to do that, there are actually 2 ways to check that. The first way is to use a command called ls-l. Okay, so this command will actually be taught later on. So ls -l and the file name. Now look at that. You find this familiar, right? So see, I am the owner of this file, right? So I have read and write permission, but I do not have execute permission. And when it comes to groups, I have only read permission. All right, a group has only read permission, and that's the same case for others. So this is the default permission that Linux gives when you create a text file or any file. Okay. Now, what would be the case if I create a folder? Let's actually try that out. There's a command called mkdir, which is the short form for make a directory. Okay, so I'm going to create a directory called folder. All right, so let's see what this permission Linux has set. So I told you there are two ways to check for permissions, right? One is ls-l, and it actually works on files, but it actually does not work on folders. So to check it for the folders, you actually have to type in a command called stat, stat. So this is the short for statistics. So it shows the statistics of this folder. Look at that. There's a lot of geeky things, but you do not actually have to worry about them all. Okay, so what we are looking at is this part. Look at that. Stat actually shows you in both permissions in both numerical and letters. See, so this Linux basically gives 755 for folders and 644 for files. Okay. Now you might be wondering, what is this D, right? And there's no D here, but just a dash. So this is Linux way of representing a file or a folder. So for a file, you have a dash, but for a folder, Linux will actually put a D here. So you can actually know that it's a directory. Or if you use a stat command, you can actually read it like this. See? So this is what Linux actually does for default. This is what permissions that Linux gives for a default file or a directory. Okay. Now let's try, as you saw here, I'll actually do that again, my file. There is no execute permission for me, right? I'll actually prove it to you. I'm actually trying to execute this file right now, okay? Look at that. Linux tells me that I do not have sufficient permission, right? Permission denied. So let's try giving myself execute permission. So I'll actually put in chmod to whom I'm going to give this permission, user, right? So you, and I'm going to add a permission. So I put in a plus, and I'll put in what permission do I need? Execute permission. To what? My file. All right. It's as simple as that. Now let's try it again. Look at that. Now I have execute permission. Now let's try executing this file again. See, it doesn't say anything because this file actually isn't executable, right? It is just a text file. It is only readable and writable. But if it was a shell file or an exe, if in Windows, it would actually have executed. So that is how you add a permission to a particular user. Now let's try to remove write permission. So before that, I'll actually try to write in something. Okay, there's a command in Linux called nano. So what this command does is it actually converts your terminal into a text editor. See, geeky, right? So look at that. I can now actually type in. So I'm going to say hello community, and I'll save this file by typing Control O, Enter, and Control X. Now let's try reading this file, right? There's a command called cat. This command is used to read a file. See, hello community. So this means that I have read, write, and execute permission right now. So now let's try to remove the write permission. So what I will do, I'll do chmod. I want to change permission for myself, which is the user. I want to remove a permission, so I'll put a minus, and I'll be removing write permission for my file. Now let's try to write it again, okay? Oh, look at that. File myfile.txt is unwritable. See, if I'll try to force, it will tell me permission denied. See, So that means that I do not have write permissions. Simple, right? Now let's go a little bit complex. Look at that. I want to add multiple permissions to the user. I want to add read and write permissions. So just like above, you write in without spaces, you write in all the permissions that you want to add. Simple, right? Now look at that. I want to add full permission for everybody. So I can either do chmod ugo plus rwx, or I can do chmod a plus rwx. I'll actually prove it to you. Chmod a denotes user group and others. I'm going to give full permission to everybody. All right, let's see. Look at that. Now this file is fully this file has full permission, and if you look at that, this file is glowing green, right? So that means that this file is executable. In terminal, if you see any file like as green in color, that means that that file has execute permissions. So now look at that. This is as complex as it can get. Okay guys, if this setting permissions cannot get any more complex than this. So what you are giving, read and write permissions and removing execute permission, right? Let's actually try this. Chmod, I want to give this permission to everybody. I want to add read and write permissions, and I want to remove execute permissions. Look at that. Linux adds read and write commands, permission, sorry, and removes the execute permission. Simple, right? Now, this is the opposite of this. You are actually removing all the permission. And let me warn you, for educational purposes, it's fine, but never go doing this, okay, guys? This actually has a lot of consequences, and you might even not know. But yeah, for the sake of this session, I'll actually show you, since that's interesting. I'm going to remove all permissions. Linux usually wants me. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, fine. Look at that. All the permissions are now gone. And if you look at this in the GUI, there's a log symbol here, right? This means that this file is now untouchable. You cannot do anything to this. Now let's try the same thing in numerical format. How you would give full permission? Just like this. You would do chmod 777 for user, group, and others, and to the file. So now you will have full permission. Now look at that. Chmod 744, right? Let's actually give this. What happens? Chmod 744 to my file. What actually happens is I have full permission for user, right? Because it's a 7. What about 4? 4 means read, and 4 means read. So that means if I'll take this, I will have full permission for the user, only read permission for groups and others. Now 724. You guys would have known by now that 2 stands for write. So this means that full permission for user, only write permission for group, and only read permission for others. This is the same as what we did here. We use remove, right? So if I'll put in chmod 7000, sorry, this will actually remove all the permission, just the same. So my point was that you can actually you can either go for the textual version, or you can use numerical version. I prefer the numerical version because it is much simpler to read, and it actually saves a lot of time, right? So I guess you guys understood what is permission in Linux, what all kinds of permissions are there, and how to set permissions. I try to make this as simple as possible, but in case if you have any doubts, you guys can ask me in the Q&A session. Now time for package management. So what is package management, right? uh, Package management, package, what is a package? A package is nothing but a box, right? And there are some things inside this box. So in Linux, every application is called as a package, because a pack everything. After you build a program or a software, you actually go through a step called building. So what happens in this building process is your application is now, your source code is now converted into a build file. This is also called as a package. So that is what a package means. So there are a lot of packages, all right, in Linux. Some come in along with installation, and some you can actually install. So you might be wondering, how can I do that, right? So Linux stores all these packages in a cloud, all right? So these clouds are called repositories. All right. So whenever you want to install an application, what you do is you make use of certain tools inbuilt in Linux. All right. These tools are called package management tools, or PMT. All right. What these tools do is these tools act as a bridge between you and the repository. So when you give a request, what this PMT does is it fetches your request, asks the server or a repository that do you have this particular file that my user is asking for. If the server responds with a yes, it actually brings out all these files and actually shows them to the user. Now the user can decide what to do with them later. All right. We'll actually discuss about that in the next slide. So look at that. I have a table here and I'm showing you some of the most common operating systems of Linux, flavors of Linux. Most of them you might be familiar with the yesterday's session of Dhanwant. He might have told you. All right. So look at that, Debian and Ubuntu. So both of them are almost the same. Okay. And that is why they have the same format. Now, what is a format? Format is basically an extension for the package. All right. Just like you have APK file for Android, right? So APK is the file format for Android. So any APK file you can install in any Android, right? Similarly, any DEB package, DEB is the short for Debian itself, because Debian was the first one that came. Okay. So any package with a DEB extension can be installed in both Debian and Ubuntu operating systems. Now, to make this possible, you have two common common tools inbuilt, which is APT and DPKG. You also have another one. It is called Snap. Okay, the Snap is what you actually see when you take your application store, right? There is an inbuilt store in Linux. Those who are familiar with Linux, you will know. So Snap actually provides a GUI for the same thing what APT does. Okay. So similarly, you have RPM for CentOS and Fedora, but the tools are different for both of them. CentOS uses Yum, but Fedora uses DNF. Similarly, for FreeBSD, you have TXZ format and Make and PKG. Now, those who are familiar with Termux, it is an application for Android. All right, it is a terminal emulator for Android. So those who are familiar with Termux, they will know this PKG, because PKG is the package management tool for Termux. Although Termux also supports APT, PKG is the recommended one. So let's see. We'll actually be covering APT and DPKG for the sake of simplicity of this session. Okay. So DPKG or APT. Now you might be wondering, I actually told you there's also Snap. So why have three things when you can do the job with one, right? And you'll most probably using APT a lot. Okay, so you might be wondering why we need two things, right? So APT is the most commonly used package management tool, and that is because APT is the common gateway between a repository and an operating system. So why use DPKG, right? So that is where the difference comes. APT is actually an online installer. So APT communicates with the repositories and brings the packages and installs it for you. But what if you want to install a third-party software in Linux? Okay, APT doesn't that APT doesn't support, or that package doesn't exist in the existing Linux repository. So what will you do then? That is where DPKG comes in. DPKG is actually an offline installer. So dpkg helps you install third-party applications. So that is the main difference between them. Apt is an online installer. It fetches from the repository and installs, but dpkg can be used to install your third-party applications that you have downloaded. Okay, now let's see some common apt commands. Like I said, you will be using apt a lot of time, and that's because apt itself is used to update your Linux. Crazy, right? So let's actually try it out. I'm gonna minimize this, and let me actually boot up my terminal. Okay, so I'll actually show you. So there's a feature in Linux. If you actually want to know what all subcommands command has, Linux actually provides you with an option. So I want to know what all subcommands this apt has. So you can actually replace apt with any command you want to know. Okay, then you will put two hyphen and then you'll type in help. Sorry, look at that. This actually shows me, this actually gives me an introduction about the thing, right? apt is a command line package manager and provides commands for blah blah. Anyways, so what we're interested in is this. Look at that. There are certain sub commands available for apt, right? I won't be taking in everything, but I will be explaining the most commonly used one that you will be using. So first one is apt search. Apt search is used to search for any related packages. What are related packages? I'll actually show you. Let me search for a package. Let's say Python 3. Okay, so Python 3. Let's see. So now apt gets to work. It goes to the repository, fetches the result, and shows me in the terminal itself. Now you can see that apt actually brought me everything that has either Python in it, sorry, either Python in it or Python 3 in it. See, or it has Python in anywhere, right? Like, look at that. See, so that is what related packages mean. So when you type in apt search, apt goes to the repository and tells me, give me everything that has this word in it or any letter of this word in it. And then apt, what a repository does it, a repository gives it a whole lot of list. Then apt actually sorts the results alphabetically for us. If you look here, see, everything is organized alphabetically. Look at that. Now that is actually a good thing when you do not know what the package is. But what if you know what the exact package name is? Then this actually becomes a tedious task, right? To actually see if this package is present in here or not. Now that is where apt list comes in. So apt list allows you to search for exact package names. Now let's try it out again with apt list. I will list for Python 3.5. I want to actually check. I don't actually know if it exists in the repository, but let's see. If this package exists in the repository, the apt should bring it to me, and only that. Look at that. The results are now much shorter, and you can easily identify, right? So apt has brought me. Apt actually tells me here that yes, I have two matching files in the repositories, and look at this one. This one is AMD 64. This means that this one is for AMD processors, and this i386. I386 suggests this. I suggest that this one is for Intel processors. So it actually asked me which one would you like to install, right? So that is where the apt install comes in. You can use apt install to obviously install any packages that is inside the repository. Now if I want to install Python 3.5, I would actually do apt install Python. You actually have to type in the exact name if you want to install, just like you did for apt list. Oh, something to note here is that if you actually try this, Linux will actually tell you permission denied. Why? because installation in apt actually has to be done as a super user or as a root user. That is where this command called sudo comes in. Now, what is sudo? Sudo is the short for super user do. So whenever you type this command, whatever you type after this, Linux will run it as an elevated super user. All right. So you actually do not have to log off and log back in as a root user, but you can simply put in sudo. If your user has administrative privileges, this sudo command would work. All right. So you can install a package just like that. Now let's see. It will ask me for my password, and it gets to work. Now look at that. It actually tells me a lot of things here, right? Let's ignore this part for now, and let's focus on this part. All right. See, it actually tells me that if I want to install Python 3.5, I will also have to install these dependencies as well. But obviously, I don't have to do them myself. APT will do this for me. So APT tells me that so and so packages will be installed, and it will actually download 4.9 MB of archives. Archive means zip files. And after installation, 24.8 MB of my disk space will be used. So I can actually type in Y to proceed and N to ignore. All right. Now that is for installing. What if I want to remove? I can remove a package with apt purge. Now there's also a command called apt remove. Okay. Now what is the difference between the remove and the purge? When you use the remove command, only the executable binary and the library files are removed. But all these dependencies that you actually saw here, right, that gets installed, they usually aren't removed. On most of the cases, they aren't removed. That is where the purge comes in. What purge does is it removes the binary, it removes the library files, it removes almost, it tries its best to remove almost everything that has been created by this particular package. Okay, that is the major difference between remove and purge. I usually suggest you to use purge. Okay, now what if you forget to use purge and you do apt remove, and what happens is after some time these unused dependencies get cluttered and they will show up like this whenever you try to install another package or remove or update or use any command with apt in it. apt will remind you that these packages were automatically installed and are no longer useful. See, so how do I remove this? I can either go and remove them one by one by apt purge this, apt purge this, right? But that will actually take a lot of time. So that is where this command called apt auto remove comes in. What apt auto remove does is it scans my system for all such unused files, dependency files. It checks if these files will be used by any other process or not. And if it is not used by any other process, it automatically cleans up these files, thus saving me space. Okay, so I'll actually do a no here. I don't want to install this. All right. So that these are the 5 most common commands that you will be using in apt. There's also another command called apt update, because I told you, right, that you can actually update your system with apt update. So you actually have to do sudo apt and update. Okay, what this does is this updates your system. There's also another command called apt upgrade. Now what upgrade does is this increases your operating system's version. All right, while update actually updates all your packages, upgrade upgrades your operating system as well. So that's it for apt. Now let's look at some basic Linux commands. Okay, now there's the LSL. I told you that I will be actually taking LSL afterwards, right? So what ls minus l does? What what ls minus l actually means? Okay, let's come back to this file and I'll actually give this permission. Okay, I'll actually give this full permission. Now let's do an ls minus l again. Look at that. Now what this output means, right? Now the very first character tells us if the file is a regular file or a directory. I actually explained that, right? This dash means a file and d means a directory. Then comes the permissions. After that, there the number of hard links pointing to this file. So you see here there's a one. So this one actually means a hard link. What is a hard link? A hard link is basically a copy of this file, a clone of this file. Okay, there are two types of links: hard links and soft links. Hard links are actually a copy or a clone, exact clone of this file, while a soft link is a shortcut to this file. So in Windows, you actually copy and paste as shortcut, right? That is what a soft link is. I'll actually show this. You can actually create a hard link or a soft link with the ln command. So I'll do ln, the file I want, and I'll actually create a hard.txt. So I'm creating a hard link right now. Look at that. This is basically a hard link. Okay, and this does not point to this file, but it contains everything that is inside this file. If I update this text, this hard link will also get updated. Now how do I create a soft link? I do this the same way but with a minus s. A soft link is also called as a symlink or a symbolic link. Okay, I'll do the same thing. I'll give a soft.txt. Now look at that, look at the difference. Linux actually tells me that this is a soft link with this icon here. See, so this is basically just a link to this file. Okay, so that is now if I'll actually do an LSL again, it will show me the number of hard links. See, it updated from 1 to 2 because I just created a hard link here. Now what is this? This is the file owner, the person who owns this file. This is the group owner, the owner of the group who owns this file. Then obviously you have the file size, that is 19 bytes. Then you have the date and time, okay, and the name of the file, okay, the last modified date and the file name. So that is what an ls minus l output stands for. Now we go to the basics. This will actually be covered by Favas. Favas, you can take over.
So guys, now we are stepping in the basic Linux commands. As Vishnu said, we have some basic commands like h modes and all other things. It's a little bit more complicated because it really stands for the permissions and all that things. So now we are looking to just the basic Linux command and every beginner should know. So here is the first one. So the first one is pwd. For what this pwd command is used, as you can see, I'm going to live demo. Here I'm using Kali Linux. I just zoom this. I'm using Kali Linux terminal for this demo. So what is pwd command stand for? This pwd command is the command used for printing the working directory of us. It prints the present working directory. So if we type the pwd command in this tree, it will actually shows this one. Means I'm in root now. So this pwd command in this directory shows and now I'm stepped into the directory in desktop. Now you can see I'm in desktop, and in here I'm typing pwd, and you can see the entire path to the desktop directory. So as a hacker, it's very useful for any directory printing by using this pwd command, and this is really useful for a beginner user. So the next command is whoamI command. As you all know, whoamI command is used for knowing the user, means which user is I. Actually, everyone want to know which user is if something gonna crazy, and he want to know what is mean, and I don't know what I mean. So in this situation, you can use this who am I command to troubleshoot you. Just type in just like typing who am I. You can see I'm a root user now. So you can see I'm a root user now. Okay. So this who am I commands tell us how who we are, whether it is or anything else. The next command is the uname. This is a little bit more elaborated command because you can use this. So the uname command is used for knowing the use OS informations. It shows the OS information, all that. So just type uname. Now you can see the OS is Linux. So this uname is used for knowing when it is going to the penetration testing. You can see that it's a thing to know what the target device system is using as an operating system. So this Linux command really helpful for knowing the operating system. And we are not satisfied with this only this information. We want to know about little bit more about this command. So little bit more about this system. Okay. So I want to know basic information about this operating system. I just want to type uname minus r. This actually shows the versions and which user and its anti-64 and all that stuff about this operating system. So that is the use of uname minus r. So I want to know a little bit more about this operating system. So I'm not satisfied with this all information. I just want more. So here is another alternative way to know this. You can type uname minus a. This minus a stands for all. Now you got all information about your operating system and your systems, everything about this. This is included everything. So this UNA minus a is really helpful for those who want to know about the system OS. So this is all about the basic Linux command. Next is the files and folder operation commands. As you all know, Linux stores everything as a files and folder. So for handling with these things, we just want to know about the files and folder operation commands. So the first command is cd. For what actually this is used for? Just keep the clear terminal all things, okay? The cd stain directory. If I want to go to a directory in a desktop or documents, anything else, I just want to type this cd command and which directory we want to go. So I just show you a live demo cd, and I just want to go to desktop. I'm typing desktop. See, I'm now in desktop directory. So this is about the cd command. Now when we just step forward into this directory, I just want to get out of this desktop directory. I just not want to stay in this directory. I just want to get out of this directory. So in this case, I want to use a cd command in different way. Let me show you. You can use cd space dot dot to get back from this directory. So this is a way you can step back from a directory. So the cd command is interesting, right? So when we are using the cd commands, there is a little bit tips for using this. If I'm in this, if just let me show you, I'm getting into this desktop directory. Inside this, you can see a folder one named directory. I'm going to go to it. So I'm just typing folder one directory. So now I'm in this desktop and folder one directory. So this is a little bit long URL, right? So I'm just stepping back to this cd. So here is another command used by using this cd command. You just type cd, you will get into the root directory, means the root directory or the home directory of the user. So let me show you a tip. I just want to get into this folder one name directory once, and I don't want to type entire path directory. Here is a tip you can see, and minus for listening this. Now you can see I'm in the previous session where I was. Now I am in the folder. So this is a cool trick for the Linux users for operating these folders and all stuff. So the next command is cd tilde operator. This actually shown in the keyboard above the tab key. So I'm just typing this. This actually take me into the root directory as does. So this is also a way to use the cd command. The next way is cd forward slash. This is a little bit more different from this cd. This is also root the same as this because here you can see it's a tilde operator and here is a forward slash. What is the difference between this? Just list it. You can see here the file system. Now we are in the root directory of this Linux file system. So that's the difference about this slash and tilde operator. When you are in the tilde operator sign root directory, you are in the home directory of the user. And when you are in the forward slash named directory, you can see that you are in the Linux file system. The next thing about this is just step into the CD. It's all about the CD commands. So just step into the next one is CP command. The CP command is interesting because as we know, we are using Windows and all the things for copying the folders and files. Then for using this copy pasting in the Linux, we can just use CP command. Let me show you. I'm clearing my terminal. Just cp. So as every terminal commands, this also has an syntax. Every terminal command has a syntax, and see this one is used as a syntax. So here we want to define the file, the destination file itself. So here I'm using cp and I just tap desktop. Now I'm directory c c.txt. Now I just want this file's desktop directory to the domains directory. So I'm just using the cp. So use this. I'm just showing you. Just type cp, and I want to move this file, means this abc.txt file for this. So just type this file abc.txt, and
Favas?
I now
Hello?
ask for the cp. Okay. Hello.
Hello? Ah, yes, your voice is breaking. Can you
Hello.
just check
Hello.
it? Hello?
1 minute. Is it clear now?
Favas?
Hello.
Ah, yes,
Is
now
it
it's
clear now?
audible. Yes, yes. You may continue.
Oh. So this CP commands we can use like this. As every syntax, every command in the Linux has a syntax. The CP command also have that syntax. So I'm just typing the CP commands, and I just want to type the source which we want to copy. That is abc.txt, and I want to copy a document name. So I am in the directory, and now I just want to step back from this directory. Just step into the document directory. So path to the administration. So slash document. Done now. Now just step back it with this node. See ABC text name copied from that files and this. So this is the basic to use CP command. And if you want to be a directory, yes, you can use this
So guys, I think we have a technical issue here right here. I think he has got disconnected. Uh, uh, Wait a moment.
Sorry for the technical issue. I think Vishnu can share the screen and just recap or do something. By that time, he can connect, right?
Yeah, of course. Vishnu, can you please take the rest of the session? It'll
Yeah,
be
sure,
great.
sure, sure, sure. Okay, I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine, fine. Just hold on a moment. Yeah, okay. So, from where should I start? Should I start from the CD? I'll actually start from CP, okay? So CP is basically the copy command, right? So CP stands for copy. What happens is, yes, of course, you can use the GUI and you can actually do this. You can actually do right click and copy, right? You can do this, but obviously terminal actually does it much better. So what if, let's say, I want to copy this abc.txt into this folder, which is empty right now. Okay, so let's try that. I'll actually do a cp the source file. Okay, what I want to copy and where I want to copy. I want to copy this inside the folder, right? So that's it. So what happens is Linux will copy this file to folder. Let's go in, look at that. So it creates a copy of the file inside this folder. That is what CP is. Okay. Now, what if you want to copy multiple files? Okay. What will you do then? That is where a minus R comes in. Okay. Minus R actually stands for recursive. What this means is that from this path, suppose we want to copy everything from here. Okay, in Linux, when you put a dot slash, it means that do something from the current folder. Okay, but what if you put a slash? I explained that in this Linux file system. When you directly denote a slash, this means the root of the file system. So always make sure if you are meaning to do something from the current directory, you have to put in a dot slash. Okay. So what happens here is that if I execute this command, what will happen is everything that is present in here will get copied into this folder. Okay, so that is the recursive command. Now move, just like copy, right? But what happens in move is that you are actually cutting the file from the location and pasting it somewhere else. Okay, so let's create another folder here. I'll actually name it my folder 1. Okay, using the mkdir command. So I have a folder here. I want to move this abc.txt inside the my folder. What will I do? I will use the mv command. Mv is the short for move. Okay, I want to move what? ABC, right? Where? My folder. Simple, right? So I'm moving ABC to my folder. Now, if I'll go inside my folder, look at that. Pretty simple, right? So that is move. Okay, so in move you actually do not have to move is actually not as complex as a cp, because cp is basically creating a copy or a clone of one file and moving it to another location, right? But in move what is actually happening is that what actually happens in the background is Linux finds the file, removes it from the current place in the disk, and moves it to where we specify that. So here also the Linux file system comes into play, because these all these things that you see here, see this my folder, this actually the Linux does not know what this my folder is. The Linux file system actually tells the Linux that my folder is a folder, and this so and so is its location, and everything like that. This is where it starts, this is where it ends, and all those things. Okay, that is MV. Then there's RM. RM is the short for remove. So basically you are removing something from somewhere. Okay, this RM command actually applies to both files and folders, but I would not suggest you to use RM for folders, because you already have another command called rmdir that actually means remove directory. So that is the legal way, I would say, to use removal. Okay, so I'll actually show you what RM is. Now let's say I'll actually create a file here using the touch command. I'll name it def.txt. I want to remove this def.txt. I created this by mistake. Okay. Of course, I can with GUI, I can actually do a right click and I can do move to trash. Okay. But I with in terminal, how I would do, I would use a simple command mv what I want to remove. Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry. That was mv rm and what I want to remove. Okay. There you go. This file is now deleted forever. That is RM. Now chmod. Of course, I took a lengthy session on chmod, so I think I actually do not have to explain this again. So now there's something called chown. This is also something as important as chmod, where where chmod actually sets a permission to a file or a folder. Chown basically sets ownership to a file or a folder. Do you remember the last time I said whoever creates the file is the owner, right? Now, if I'll check the ownership of this abc.txt with the ls minus l, what will I see? You'll see that I am the owner, right? And my group is the owner because I am included in this group. My group is the owner of this file and I am the owner of this file. Now, suppose, let's say I created this file on behalf of John. Okay, John is another user in my system. I created this file for John. So John calls me one day and tells me, hey, I want you to create this abc.txt inside this folder, and you can change the ownership to mine. So even though I created this file, I want Linux to know that this file should be owned by John. So what will I do? That is where the chown command comes in. So chown, with chown, I would simply do chown, and to whom I want to give ownership. I want to give ownership to John, and what I want to do, which file I want to give ownership to. Now, something to note here is that if I'll simply put an enter here, it will not allow me to change, because like I said, such things, such critical things have to be handled with the super user permission. So what you'll do is you'll do a sudo, and it will ask me for password. And let's check the ownership. Look at that. The ownership changed from VMK to John. So now, as far as Linux is concerned, this file abc.txt is now owned by John. So that is ownership. That is chown. I think we have a slide with chown in the upcoming slide. If not, I will actually explain this later on. Okay. Then there's mkdir. Like I said, there's a command, specific command for removing a directory called rmdir. There's a specific command for creating a directory as well, mkdir. And I actually showed you, right? We actually created lots of folders here. So I'll actually show this to you again. Mkdir actually helps you to create a directory wherever you want to create it. I will create a folder 2 here. See, simple as that. That is what mkdir does. Then you have rmdir. Okay, rmdir. Like I said, I want you to refrain from using rm command for deleting a folder, right? That's because you have a specific command called rmdir that does the same thing. Okay, the command syntax is the same, but this specifically involves removal of directories. Okay. Okay, yeah, we have a slide. So I suspected this, right? So chown, there you go. Chown helps change the owner and group of files, directories, and symlinks. hard links, okay, any kind of links. The group is a set of user that yeah, obviously I explained all these things, right? So yeah, there you go. Ways of setting ownership. You can set an ownership to a user, you can set an ownership to a group, and of course you can set ownership to both user and group at the same time. Okay, so here's the syntax. Chown, if you just like I showed you here, right? I actually changed the ownership, right? So chown, to whom you want to give this ownership to, and to what file or folder you want to give this permission to. That is what is shown here. So chown username object. Object means a file or a folder. Now, what if you want to change a permission for the group? Like we saw here, even though the user changed, right? The owner of the file changed from VMK to John, but the group owner is still me. I want to change this also. So if I want to do that, I can do this. I can put in a colon right before the group name, and Linux will automatically understand that I want to keep the user as the same person, but I want to change the group owner from the current group owner to whatever group owner I am suggesting. Okay. Now, what if I want to change it for both of them? There you go. Now you understand why I put a colon here, right? Because the colon is like a delimiter for Linux. The left hand side stands for the user, and the right hand side stands for the group. So if you want to change the user and the group at the same time, you can easily do that with a single command like this. I'll actually show you. Now I want to set both the user and the this group owner to John. So I already know till here, right? We already did it till here. Now I will also add a colon and John. John is another group in my computer. Okay. Now let's see. ls minus l abc. Now look at that. The user and owner, the owner and the group owner became John. So now there's no way of saying that I own this file, because as far as Linux is, this file is owned by the user John and the group John. So that is chown. So I'll tell you this once again. Chmod is for changing permissions, while chown is for changing ownership. Okay, both are different. Here's some examples. See, if I want to set this to, we already set this to John, right? What if I want to set this to Alice? I will use the same command. I will do chown Alice the file. So now the file will be file ownership will be transferred to Alice. Now, what if I want to change this abc.txt's group ownership to research? I'll do that by putting a colon and group name. Now, what if I want to set it for Alice and in the research group? I will do it by chown Alice research abc.txt. Just what we did right now, right? So that's it, I guess, guys. So it's time for Q&A session. So you guys can ask your questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Okay. And let's see.
Before that, Vishnu, I'd like to add on something.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, we and our team are really sorry for the interference in between that happened, because
Yeah, that's fine. That's
that
fine.
Favas has just confirmed with us that he's having some weather issues there at his house. So that's why
Okay.
we had technical difficulties in between. We are
Yeah.
really sorry from our end.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
Vishnu,
okay.
you can continue with your Q&A session.
Yeah, okay. So let's see. Okay, can we move files recursively like that in cp command? It's the same thing, just like how you do in cp. Okay, it's the same command. Cp and mv are almost the same. Okay, so you do the same way. And how to remove empty directories? How to remove empty directories? You can do this with rmdir, like I suggested. Okay, it does not matter if it is empty or not. If you use RMDIR, why? Yes, I will actually tell you why I told you to use RMDIR, because uh, Linux actually warns you if a directory is not empty if you only use RMDIR. But if you want to forcefully delete this directory without any confirmation, you can go for rm minus d. Okay, minus rd, sorry. So what rm minus rd does is, uh, if I put an rm minus rd, it actually tells Linux to remove recursively directory. So that means it removes the directories, it removes everything from the present place I am telling it to, and it will remove every file and every directory without asking you anything. And that is actually dangerous, right? So unless you know what you're actually doing, you should not actually go for this command, but you can actually simply put in an rmdir and the folder name. So if the directory is empty, it will Linux will automatically delete this. If it is not empty, Linux will ask you that this directory is not empty, would you still like to continue? Okay, now um, can we ch on any name or just the users? Yes, even though you can name for any group name, but for users you have to be specific. Okay, let's actually try it. Okay, suppose I want to ch on. Um, let's try Alice itself. I hope there's no Alice in my system. ABC, right? See, what Linux tells me, chown invalid user Alice. So you have to be specific of the username you choose. Okay. Uh, Difference between KDE and Meet. Okay, this was actually a question for yesterday, right? Never mind, I'll answer that. KDE is basically what I'm using right now. I'm using the KDE version of Parrot. Okay. There's nothing much more difference between both. KDE is actually, I prefer KDE to be much more beautiful. Okay, so after all, mate, it's the same thing. What underneath the hood, it's the same Linux that's running. But what you're seeing is the makeup, and this makeup is called as KDE, Mate, XFC, LFC, and all those things. But of course, each of them depends on the type of computer you using. Okay, so if you have got a low-end system like with 2 GB or 3 GB RAM, you cannot actually use KDE in that. Okay, you will actually have to go with LXD, which is the light Linux desktop. So that is what these things differ in. Okay, and of course there's the difference in the beauty as well. All right, difference between bash and dos. Okay, bash and dos both are terminals, but dos is for Microsoft. Okay, it's dos actual name is MS DOS. So Windows and all came from there. Okay, and bash is Linux term. You should actually compare bash with CMD instead of DOS, because bash and CMD are equals. Okay, what CMD does in Microsoft, bash does in Linux. Other than that, it's the same thing. Why some packages don't get deleted by using rm, and if rm minus rvf, it gets deleted. So it's not due to the v, it's due to the f. See, what f does is, f means force. Okay, so you are actually asking Linux, it doesn't matter if this file is currently being used by another user or another system process, or if I do not have permission, I want this file to be completely deleted from my system. So Linux obeys, and that is why when you use normal rm, it doesn't get removed, but if you use it with the f command, it gets deleted. So okay, any more questions? Okay, Daksha, I'll actually show you this thing. Okay, let's see what Linux is. Rm minus minus helps. Just like I told you. Look at that. V stands for verbose. Now, what is verbose? In Linux, verbose means the whenever you use V with any command, it what Linux does is Linux shows you the complete log, okay, the complete output of what it is actually doing in the back in the console. So it actually prints out everything. That is what V stands for. R stands for recursive. See, it means that remove directories and their contents recursively. That means don't care anything about what is inside, just recurse, just loop through everything and remove everything from the path I'm telling you to. Okay. RBF and F, just like I said, F means force. Do this with force. Okay, see, F means force. There's a question from Tushar. How to append two files? Okay, mate. Do you mean how to create a link? Are you trying to say that? If that's what you're referring to, then I just showed you, right? How to create a hard link and a soft link. Look at that, hard and soft. This is how you create a link. You will create link with, okay, merging two files into a single file. Linux has this shortcut. Okay, yeah, Dhanwant has actually done the same thing. It's actually double arrow, I think. Okay, a single arrow overwrites a file. Okay, now suppose I have ABC and DEF. Okay, if I do ABC echoes, if I do echo ABC greater than DEF, it will actually override DEF with whatever it is in ABC. But what if I do this like this? This is what you're looking for. When you do this, what happens is it will append whatever is inside ABC after whatever is written on DEF. I hope you understood. Okay, any more questions?
Guys, please feel free to ask the questions. Yeah, there is a question.
Okay, we have a question from Tushar again. APT can search a list of repos, right? What to do when we need to search for a file? Searching for a repo is different from searching for a file. I hope you are referring to searching for a file locally. So there's a command called find. In case you're referring to local, there's a command called find. Oh, okay, yeah, he's referring to local file. So there are two kinds of commands actually. The first one is find. Okay, find does the same thing as what you do here in search, right? So if you search for a phrase here, what Linux does is it tries to find everything that matches with the same thing. Okay. But of course, see, you have another options here, right? You can search by file name, by content, from where, from the location, and you have many more options. So find command does exactly that. So what is actually happening is you are typing in here, but what is actually happening is Linux is executing this find command underneath the hood. So find has many options. Okay, find is actually a huge thing. See, it has a lot and lot of options. And if you are an expert in regex, then find will actually help you a lot. Okay, there's also another command called locate. Locate is just like what you do in apt search, right? It finds everything that matches to your term, and it doesn't care where or when. It just brings out all the results to you. So these are the two common things that you can use to search for locally. Yeah, locate command, just like Sherin said, locate command also shows you the path. There's another question from Dark Shadow: how to check the logs and history in Kali? Current running services and packages. Running services, I think it's DF. Dhanwant or Sherin, can you confirm? For
Uh,
the logs,
Vish,
yeah.
Vishnu, for in the case of commands, you can just hit history. For the processes, you can just use the ps minus aux command.
Okay, yeah. See, history actually shows me all the history. And what was the other command?
It is ps minus aux.
AUX, right?
It shows you all the processes
Yeah,
running.
look at that. Look at that. Yeah, just like task manager in Windows. See? So I hope
But for task manager, you can use the htop application too.
htop command. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
If htop is not installed, you can use top command also.
There.
Yeah, exactly. Then yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, no problem, Dark Shadow.
Okay, guys, we'll be accepting 2 more questions today. After that, we'll be winding up the session. Vishnu, we have a question from YouTube. It says that appending, the appending means overwriting question mark.
Okay, yeah, there's a difference between single this, and I'll actually show you. Let's see. Yeah, there's another question from. Yeah, wait. Let me clear this one. I'll create a file. Let's actually try this out. Okay. So let's see. So it has hello right now, right? And I will create another file called b.txt. Okay. So let's try appending b.txt to a. Let's see what happens. Okay, now let's try to cat a.txt. Look at that. So a double arrow, okay, a double arrow actually appends to whatever you're giving it to. But if you use a single arrow, it overwrites that. So that is the difference between single arrow and double arrow, okay? I hope the guy in YouTube understood.
There is another question.
How to clear history in Kali? Yeah, you can clear your history with history minus C. Minus C stands for clear. Okay. So, okay, guys, I think we are way past our time, right? So, I would be happy to answer all of your questions. You guys, please join our Telegram group, and you can ask your questions there anytime, okay? I'll be answering them ASAP. Okay, yeah. Majesty, you can continue.
Yes, thank you, Vishnu. Thank you. So, sorry for the technical issues. Okay. So, sorry for the technical issues regarding voice breaking and all such things. And the time is running, right? So we can continue our discussion and learning with our Telegram group. The link is provided in the chat box, so you guys can join by that. So we love hearing from you. So we have also provided a feedback form. So please do fill it and let us know how we could do better. And in addition to that, those who fill the form will get a digital certificate as well. So once again, thank you all. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you.